It's time to start Dishin Days with your hosts, Tony Moore, Michael Mattis, Justin Lee Hareld, and Araceli Aviles. And now, let's dish. Why, hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we're serving up a full pre-taped dish of this week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. And if you guys haven't already, make sure you like us and follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook and Dishin Days on Instagram, X/Twitter, and Threads. Also, if you are watching us live and you haven't already, or you're watching us later and you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way, you will always know when we go live and you'll always be notified when we post something new. Like, I don't know, maybe some upcoming interviews, maybe. Who knows? So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so that way you'll never miss what's coming up on Dishin Days. Also, if you don't like the look of us and just want to listen to us because for whatever reason you don't want to see our darling faces, you can just listen to us on your way to work, or while you're stuck in traffic, or while you're walking on the treadmill checking out that hottie who's trying to get a summer body. That's right. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Just type in Dishin Days, hit the follow button, and that way you can take us wherever your little heart desires. And don't forget to show some love to our former co-host and my chocolate twin, James Lott Jr., over at JLJ Media, who is serving up a couple of dishes of his own. James is serving up a recap of Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless, and General Hospital, along with some original, that's right, things that he wrote and thought of himself. Audio dramas, because James is the only person that I know who was around when audio dramas were started. That's pre-TV for those who don't know, because we're so young. So make sure you go like him and follow him where all James Lott Jr.'s are sold. JLJ Media on YouTube and on your favorite podcast stations. And of course, we want to hear from you, so make sure you comment below. Tell us your thoughts. We'll see them and we'll like the comment, and sometimes we'll even reply. We just want to know what you think of all of our thoughts, and also what you thought of the shenanigans, stunts, and shows that happened this week in Salem. All righty. Well, I know some people are probably like, oh no, it's pre-tape.
Yes.
That's life.
This week we realized we got things to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because it's Pride, everybody. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Yay. I got my pride and no one's gonna take it away. So hopefully you all are celebrating Pride in whichever way that you see fit. Tell someone that you're happy that they're living their authentic self and you support them.
Yeah.
So, what do we think of this week's episodes of Days?
We're back.
Who?
I guess the writers are back. Back. We got things to do now. Things are heating up, and we're going boom, 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 boom.
I just wonder what that meeting was like. Like how you come back to work and go, "Oh, this is what y'all been doing."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We'll stay tuned later. We will tell you. We will tell you.
Okay.
This week was good. I liked it. I thought it was a nice combination of like stuff happening, like plot was moving, the pace was good, but also a little bit of like setup for next week, I feel like. So yeah, it was good. And there were a lot of people. It was one of those weeks where they had like everyone on.
Yes.
Kind of thing. So yeah, it was.
Yeah. I thought this week was.
It was okay.
It's
like Justin said, I think you're feeling the setup part of it.
Yes, there's setup, then there's alrighty. Well, in order to find out what all that means, let's break it all down, shall we? It is now time to start Dishin Days. So close.
Wasn't terrible.
Wasn't terrible. Was kind of close. All right, so let's kick things off with our first storyline, which is my baby's back. Well, sort of.
Kind of.
I just would like to go on record again, and if anyone can find these clips, please find them and send them. I gave the pinpoints of what Nicole was going to do to Sloan once she found out about little baby Jude. And at one point I said, we're at a slap. And then at another point I said, baby, we at a punch.
Yeah.
And when I tell you Nicole, like she didn't just go like sucker puncher, just like that, right? She literally went and her hands were on her hips like this. And you know when someone does that, basically in their mind, they said, let us say something else.
Yep.
Let us say, and she said, like, so it wasn't just like,
yeah.
it was.
Yep.
Oh wow! But kudos to Salome for her dramatic turnaround because she
it was good, right? She did it right. Oh yeah, she knows how to take a punch.
But also, my question is, where you been, girl? Like,
yeah.
If you had to fill in the hole of where she was, where would you have written Sloane to be? Like, where would you say she went? Now, keep in mind, she no passport, no wallet, no car keys. I think her cell phone was like she had nothing. Okay, where did she go?
Well, I think EJ actually answered this question. We saw in a little small flashback that EJ set her up. He gave her an envelope basically with a new identity, social security number, passport, basically all the documents that she needed, access to a private account, and then said, and there's a number in there for a driver that's going to drive you to Chicago.
Oh yeah.
So that you can fly out of the country under your new name.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I can see where your confusion is because it wasn't a quick flashback, and she obviously came back. So that's what happened in my mind. She went there, driver had her take her there, then she did some dumb thinking and came back.
Yeah, there's like a 24-hour period where she left from Eric or the apartment, and then we don't know where she went then. Of course, if she was in Chicago and came back, or if I imagine she went to that like Roach Motel that Xander and Sarah lived in and just stayed the night and was like, it was like, I have unfinished business, which we don't kind of know what is. Like, is she confessing or is she? I don't know what she's doing there to see Nicole in the first place. She has everything she needs to get the hell out of Dodge and start a new life. So
I feel like it's like you guys have been saying, like this is all a setup. I think it's a setup because I kept feeling like she's gonna tell that that's Eric's baby. Like I kept feeling it. So maybe that's she's like, let me tell you something. Y'all ain't gonna sit here to paint me out to be the bad guy.
Yeah, right.
But did anyone else feel sympathy for Sloane?
I want to say no, but in what way are you thinking?
So when she started saying what she had just went through, her miscarriage, the failed adoption, and her want to really have a baby, right? When she was saying all that to Nicole and explaining that to Nicole, I literally went right back to when Nicole stole Sydney.
Mhm.
And I was like, I feel like, Nicole, you of anyone could have empathy for her because you should know these exact same feelings that she had.
Mhm. I will say this. I know people have been bringing that up too, and I'm actually glad Sloan brought it up as like in the side of like, oh, like, you know, you have no room to judge. But it was slightly different in that Sammy she actually switched babies.
Yes.
So like Sammy and Rafe still had a baby. Unfortunately, Grace passed away a little while after that, but at least not that what Nicole did was better than Sloan, but at least she didn't leave Sammy babyless, if that makes sense. So I mean, she's slightly better than Sloan. Like, you know what I mean? Like Sloan's down here and Nicole's like a rung above her, I guess. You know, like they're both going to hell, but Nicole has a shadier spot in hell than Sloan does. Like,
I mean, Sloan was right on the money in calling Nicole a hypocrite because yes, she did do the exact same thing. I would add the caveat though that I try to take in the full spectrum of what they've been through. And while Sloan had a miscarriage, like Nicole had a miscarriage, and her situation, and she was trying to hold on to Eric like Nicole's trying to hold on to EJ back in the day. I think Nicole her heartbreak just resonates a little bit more back then because one, we got to spend more time with Nicole. Nicole had been on the canvas for a full decade plus by that point. So we knew Nicole, and we knew everything that she had been through. We knew her history. We knew her child abuse. We had all the gory details of what she had done and what had been done to her. Sloan's only been on the canvas for a couple of years, so there's a little bit of a separation in terms of attachment there for the audience. And truly, if I look at Sloan as a character, these are bad things that have happened to her. But up until this point, basically up until the point where her parents died, nothing bad had ever happened to her in her life. She'd never had to work for anything, want for anything. She was a spoiled princess. She was who we saw when she first came on the canvas, which was a brat, and who didn't see her parents and her family for the reality that they were, which was extremely flawed and extremely, just extremely flawed. So, as opposed to Nicole, who we saw and we got the knowledge of that had taken hit after hit after hit after hit since she was a kid. And when she lost her first baby with EJ, she broke. Like, we didn't immediately see that desperation in the same way. It was more like she was breaking apart. I feel like Sloan had a little bit more composure. She was heartbroken, obviously, but I don't know. It just didn't resonate the same way.
I don't know. I felt when she was explaining, I was like, I feel like in this moment, like I'm not like justifying what she did, but there's a level of understanding of like in that instant why that decision was made.
Yeah, totally. And not for not having cause. Like Eric and Nicole have totally, I wouldn't say they played their spouses, but there's a little bit of blame that can rest on their shoulders, not necessarily for like the baby taking, but also like not being completely honest about their feelings, for getting into relationships and marriages with people, even though they have strong feelings for each other that are still incredibly strong, even after all this. I don't know why, but yeah, there's a little bit of blame that can be attributed to them as well. Yeah. And in all fairness, Nicole did go to jail. Like, well, Anna got her out after, but she did go to prison for stealing Sydney. So
that's true.
Now on to this other business of changing the name. Because I thought, didn't Nicole help come up with Jude?
No,
that was Sloan and Eric.
no, it was
That
really
was
all
Eric.
Eric. It was all Eric.
Oh, okay.
Because for some reason I was like, I feel like she had a hand in it somehow. It was small, but
he came up with the name, and she said, "Oh, Jude liked the song."
oh, maybe
that was it.
That's what I felt like it was. But like, okay, so how do we feel about EJ just wanting a new name for baby Jude?
EJ being EJ.
Yeah. That's like him trying to assert some sort of dominance over it. Even though I actually like Jude Demira sounds. I mean, Jude Brady's fine too, but Jude Demira sounds fine. I was like, oh, you better keep that name. Like, I was like, what are you talking about? It's not fitting. Like, if
it doesn't sound terrible.
Jude Brady sounds like he has the potential of being cute. Like, I don't need a Jude Brady, but it was like, yo, I have this friend. His name is Jude Demira.
Yeah, right. I know, right?
The name better match the face,
right. As EJ sits here, Elvis, like Elvis Demira doesn't exactly, roll off the tongue like
this is true.
But EJ does.
EJ, yeah.
Demira. It's like, oh. But it was like, what does EJ stand for? Elvis Jr.
Yeah, right. I know. Oh, yeah, that was kind of weird. I was like, oh, you're gonna change the name, and then I'm thinking like, okay, well, how far is this gonna go? Because then if the secret comes out, like, are you gonna change it back? So I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see how far we get with this name change thing.
I don't think that's gonna fly at all.
I mean, Nicole seemed like she was just like, okay, and they keep making emphasis of like, well, you're the dad. Well, you're the dad. Well, you're the dad. And I'm like, no, you're not.
I know.
That's not the daddy. If you all could give Jude a new name, what would it be?
Ooh.
I'm not even gonna say, because I really can come up with nothing, and I really don't think I think it's pointless, because he's not gonna get a new name. If he does get a new name, it would be for about 5 seconds.
But for 5 seconds, what would that name be?
I don't know. I mean, EJ only came up with Sydney. And that's the thing. EJ and Nicole came up with Sydney's name back in the day. But he had no hand in Johnny's name. So I don't know what he would come up with. And so because of that, I can't speculate, because I try to think of like what should be fitting, like what I think EJ would name him. I really can't think of anything.
In a different world, if Stefan wasn't around, I could see EJ saying, I want to name him Stefano. Or some version of that. If Stefan wasn't around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could see him saying like, "Oh, I didn't get to name a Johnny, or I didn't get to name Johnny, so my second son will be named after my father," kind of a thing. I could totally see EJ being the one to do that.
And he couldn't, and I don't think he could make a variation of his mother's name. One, because that would be difficult, and two, because I think that's how Sydney got her name. If I'm remembering correctly, he and Nicole wanted a name that would honor his mother, but it wasn't Susan, so they came up with Sydney.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Stefan. What if it was Steven?
I don't know. He might think that's too close to Steve. And then we just had Stephen O a few years ago, and that was a whole thing. So I don't know.
I'm trying to think who else? I mean, then if we go to the uncle, Anthony Demira. instead there's a Tony, maybe there's an Anthony. Is there? Let's see. Well, his name is Elvis or EJ.
I think you're on a better track there. He might try to name him after his initials.
I was gonna say there's too many Alexes around, but I could totally see him name if anything, EJ would name him after either Stefano or Lexi. But there's already, I feel like there's too many Alexes around or Alexanders, and I could, if not Stefano, he would name her after Lexi, I'd say, if anyone.
That's a good point.
And now I'm trying to think of names that were already there. Like I thought of Maddox and then Christian, but then there was already Christian Maddox before. Well, I don't know. Well, let's ask everyone else. What does everyone else think? What new name would you give baby Jude? I will post this on our Instagram. You guys can also comment below. Let us know some baby names that you can foresee baby Jude having if he gets a new name. That's a big baby also. Like Nicole was holding him and it was literally
right. He is a big baby.
I thought I was waiting for someone to bring that up because I was like, that is not 6 months. He's adorable, but that is not a 6-month-old baby.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he is, but he is just, he is happy and healthy and living life.
Chubby little cheeks.
And ready for the
a good baby actor. Yeah.
But also it was so cute to see Ari like playing with his foot almost as like a comfort thing. And he was just in there like,
yep, right.
What y'all talking about?
Yep. He was totally invested in them,
And then, okay, now the pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together. People are starting to figure things out. For some reason, I thought, because when Rafe was trying to pin Melinda was like, I wasn't even there for the handoff.
Melinda.
And then Eric was like, say what now?
Yeah.
Go back. And then I started trying to remember when Dimitri was there and the baby thing happened. Dimitri left, and then it was just those two, right? And I know that Melinda said, congratulations on your baby or whatever. But I still think that her story could still hold up.
Exactly. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Because Eric wasn't there. Like Eric came after they talked, they had a whole discussion. So it could have been that when he walked in, Melinda was holding the baby and then been like, oh, well, like meet your new baby,
She completely like stopped, and I'm like, girl, why didn't you think of something? Because remember she was talking to Rafe earlier and she had the flashback of bringing the baby. So I felt like the wheels were turning where she was like, oh shit, let me think of something in case this comes back. That's what I thought that point was. And then he literally came back like 2 hours later and she had nothing. I'm like, why didn't you say like Sloan paid an actor to hand me off the baby, or, like what? I don't know. I feel like, she could have easily come up with a plausible excuse and she like didn't for some reason. Like once you knew Sloan was going to flee, and that she was going to keep your name out of it, like you should have already had your story ready.
Yeah. And
the irony is, remember, it was her idea. The baby thing was her idea. It wasn't even Sloan's. She's the one who was like, you should take this baby. Yeah. Like Sloan was ready to go to the hospital with that baby when she turned it over, when Dimitri turned it over.
And now Leo's like,
But look at Leo with the thinking cap on. Finally, now that he's sober, he realizes, hey, there's something fishy going on here with EJ.
I still keep forgetting that he doesn't know that part. Like that always surprised me. I felt like everyone knew everything, so I keep forgetting that he doesn't know that Eric is the father. He actually thinks it's EJ.
That's right. Yeah. What a mess.
I know that. I know.
What a messy messy situation. Well, we'll see if everybody catches on, honey.
Yeah. I did like Kristen sort of like nudging him a bit and being like, really, EJ, you think she plotted this herself? And even though we know EJ knows some of it, he doesn't know all of it, of course. He doesn't know that Melinda was a part of it. He knows Leo was kind of a part. He knows Demi. So he knows everything except for the Melinda part.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just everyone's just kind of like, she did what now?
Yeah. By herself. Totally.
Like she ain't smart. That girl ain't smart enough to be able to do all that by herself. By herself? You think she did that by herself? She.
It's funny the juxtaposition where, you know, if this were a Sammy or if this were a Kristen, there would be no question of did they have help. It's like even if they did have help, we know they arranged it somehow. But the fact that it's Sloan and everyone's like, really? She did this by herself? Really?
I'm not gonna believe it.
Yeah.
And then let's see. I mean, and everyone's kind of like bearing the loss of you know, Jude, from Eric to Marlena, like John, like you know, the families have been hit. So
Greg Vaughn, stepped up this week.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was bummed out, but then little does he know.
Yeah. I did love the conversation with him and John about their own past and like, yeah, he was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had to give up you and Sammy.
Yeah, we forget that because it was so long ago, but there was that really big chunk of time where not only was Roman not in the picture and John was raising his kids, but Marlena wasn't in the picture.
Yeah, it was literally him and Carrie who raised Sammy and Eric primarily for at least like the first many years of their life. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we can sometimes barely remember what happened last year, let alone 30, 40 years ago.
And I really loved that Rafe brought up David. I was sort of waiting for that. I was like, please don't let this moment go by without saying something. And they did. So I was happy about that.
Who?
Where Rafe brought up David, what's her name's?
Evan.
Jordan.
Evan and Jordan's kid.
Son who Rafe was raising.
Yeah. He raised it during that year, that lost year during the time jump.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm starting to think maybe I didn't watch Thursday's episode like I thought I did. Because I feel like all the stuff that gets brought up, I'm like, I think that
maybe you missed the episode. Yeah.
Note to self, do not watch anything when you're kind of sleepy. Because when you do this and you're like watching it on Peacock, and that 50-second commercial comes on and you're like,
You might be right. I think all this happened on Thursday. Yeah, I think some of this happened on Thursday, so you might be right.
You wake up and you're like, oh, days is going by real quick. It's because you done took a little to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next storyline, which is, oh boy, have I frozen?
Already?
We can still hear you though.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What I'm so scared about.
You're back.
Am I?
Oh, it was for a minute. Yeah. It might catch up if we.
This is a moment where I'm so scared that because we're pre-taping.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay.
And so
if you log out, it may.
I think I should be able to log back in, but I'm wondering if it will still be going. Was it still going the last time?
No, it ended. Okay. But I don't know if that was. Did you hit a button last time, or did you just?
I hit a button last.
The recording definitely ended, but I don't know.
Okay. Well,
that was because I stopped the recording. Okay.
Yeah, I think we might be okay. You'll see. Yeah, it's your movements are changing. It's just really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to know until we know.
Until we know. Okay, so
maybe
this is going to be so funny for people to watch that. They're going to be like, look at the technical difficulties they're having. But Justin, you can see it's still recording, right?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the grand tradition of me, hopefully, I'll be right back.
Moment of truth, guys.
Okay, yeah. We'll
let's
continue.
let's see. Hold on. I'll be back.
Okay.
Cross your fingers.
I crossed them all. Are we
Okay,
here?
Good.
We're live?
Good.
Woo!
Nice.
Okay,
So,
for those of you who are just tuning in, we are pre-taping, and we have stumbled upon the issue that Tony always freezes.
Okay.
So, we are experiencing a few different technical issues at this point in the show, and hopefully, when this airs live, there will be no issues, and all you will know is that we have just spent the last minute kind of rambling nervously.
Actually, why don't we move on since we're going with the next story, which is Alex comes home. So what do you think about Alex asserting his dominance? And
this is the type of person I avoid like they have an STD, because guess what? They probably do.
I don't know what they're doing with him in this character.
He's somehow worse than when he was on the canvas.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing was, remember when he first came on? Yeah, he was a little bit of a playboy, but he was always honest. He wasn't duping anybody. He wasn't misleading anybody. He was upfront and saying, this is always casual. I'm casually dating people. And if I date more than one woman, so what? Everyone knows. Everyone's on board. But this is a weird regression.
And he still went to work. He had a job.
Yeah,
he went to his job.
I feel like they ping pong with him whenever they want. Like, you know, he was a totally fine upfront sex positive character, and apparently we can't have that on the soap opera. Like that means evil or something, or using people, and it doesn't. And we needed to like make him some like lovesick person who, you know, and then like that didn't work. Now we're bringing him back to being a playboy who's even less honest and less trustworthy than before. Like, I don't know. I don't get this. Yeah, this was never him. He was always, like you said, about work. He was always about being honest. He was good natured. Like,
yes, let's be very clear that being sex positive and being a horn dog are two very different things. It's the 21st century. It is possible to be sex positive, have multiple partners if you want, do what you want in your private life, as long as you're honest and upfront and still, in general, a responsible human being.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And
we're still going.
Yes, we're still going.
We're talking about how Alex is a horrible, despicable, no good STD having human being.
Well, I wouldn't say he has an STD. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that he has
not
an
STD.
Yet. I just feel like he's. I feel like he's doing a lot.
Yeah,
and it's talk about setting up. I feel like they are setting up for him to, when he gets that news that he in fact is not Victor Kiriakis' son. It is going to be like it's a different kind of explosion than the one we were talking about last week.
We're just saying how they completely like change his character to like fit the storyline, which I don't like. I liked him when he came on and he was like sex positive, but he was honest about it. He was like, I'm dating multiple people. I'm sleeping with multiple people. They all know about it. He was good natured. Now they're like taking him in a weird direction. Like even the stuff with Justin, where he has no interest in Justin. Not all of a sudden. They sort of started that ever since he became Victor's son. Like he could care less about Justin, or having a father-son relationship with him, even though Victor's gone. So getting close to Justin or still continuing to be close to Justin isn't gonna offend anyone, or I don't know. They're like setting him up for a weird downfall that I feel like he doesn't deserve, but they're gonna build him up so that they can like knock him down, which seems strange to me.
I mean, at this point, I think he deserves it. Back then, I was like, this guy hasn't done anything. He has a good relationship with his father. He has a pretty good relationship with his brothers, his family. You know, for being Angelica Devereaux's son, he seems pretty well-rounded and a positive human being on all that. Now, I want him to fall so hard.
I mean, I said it last week, I think, like they kind of went back to what the core of Alex, like he was supposed to be kind of full of himself and sex positive and just like this not douchey guy, but very self-aware kind of a guy and very confident, BDE, if you will, right? And I think, he softened a little bit, and then now the money has dropped into his account and he's like, you can't touch me. Can't touch me.
And the stuff he's still going strong, which I'm like, I'm over. Like, I'm over the antagonistic attitude both of them have towards each other.
A side note, I feel like Dylan Matthews is now going to take a photo of Robert Scott Wilson to the video of "You Can't Touch This." I feel that coming in my email any second. I feel like even though, you know what? Picture it. Sunday, June 2nd, in the chat room, Dylan Matthews says, as soon as I say all that, he's like, I'm on it. And the email is about to arrive in the inbox in 3, 2, now.
So you'll be able to post it literally right after the show. Or maybe even during the show.
I'm going to go ahead and say thank you, Dylan Matthews. Because I know he did it. I know he did it. Surprisingly, it didn't. Maybe I misread it. Maybe I was taking a disco nap. It didn't feel like anyone was bothered by Teresa.
Yeah, I feel like they like her more than Alex, so they were like, okay, they were like, okay, she's gonna move in, cool. Like,
but also, Maggie has a soft spot for Teresa. Bonnie kind of sees her as a kindred spirit, and I love that Bonnie knows she has no room to judge.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like, she doesn't, in her eyes, she doesn't see Teresa as hurting anybody, whereas Alex is clearly causing Maggie a lot of discomfort. And Bonnie likes Maggie, so she's automatically going to be on Maggie's side.
Well, that's because Alex is trying to be like, trying to disregard Maggie. And it's like, ill.
Yeah. At this point, like, try and get along. Like, it's like the jabs at each other is enough.
Like, remember, you got half. She got half. You didn't get 51%.
Yeah.
And she got 49. Like, get it together. I don't know why I keep freezing. There we are. What a mess. All right, so let's move on to our next storyline, which is Three's Company 2.
Okay, so this is a threesome that I never would have seen coming, and yet I was entertained.
Me too.
Who?
By Harrison, Ava, and Lucas, that trio in that room, just like sharing vending machine snacks. I'm like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, me too.
I did not expect that.
Well, when he came barging in, I was like, where'd they pick you up from?
Yeah.
Like, how did you even fit into this equation?
Yeah.
And then I was like, we all know what hotel that is.
I know, it's the same. Yeah.
It fits. So we know.
I did and I love that they followed through with everything. Like they talked about the cop, which we always like bring in real life stuff of like where are people sleeping in these types of situations, like what's really going on, and then to further see like the cop come in at one point, it being like folded up, and then to see like the next morning Lucas is right there by the bed and the cop
waking up to them like slightly arguing.
Yeah, it was
That
like
was
okay,
awesome.
that's a nice follow through.
This is how you use Lucas.
I know, right?
Is it?
Well, I just feel like he's always had a silly side.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been entertaining and just, yeah, he's not a mean guy. When they started using him as the villain in Sammy's story, I'm like, this is not Lucas. That's not who he is. He's not perfect. He's not a great, he's a great guy. He's not a perfect guy, but that's not who he is. He's not the evil villain. This is who he is.
Yeah.
He's quirky and he's honest, and he is the kind of guy that would run to the convenience store and be afraid of bears and buy bear spray.
You can hide a lot of stuff under here.
I loved it so much.
Okay,
what else you got under there?
Was I the only one who thought he hit her? Was I the only one?
No, I didn't. I definitely saw. I thought it was pepper spray.
Okay,
and he was like bear spray.
I think because when they flashed back to it, she was sort of like on her side a bit, and all I saw was like the red like eye, and I was like, oh wow, they had him like follow through. I was like,
yeah,
he took a swing at her, okay, and then when he explained it, I was like, okay,
yeah, because she was just like, oh,
I know,
right? It's like, girl, you okay? And what did he tie you with? Did he have the rope underneath the robe too?
Yeah. Oh, it was probably his tassel that the tassel that covers the.
Got a whole depot under there. I do feel like this whole chase after Clyde and them doing it themselves and not involving like the cops and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like. And then who was Harris talking to?
Was Snake? It Snake?
First of all. I was like, why are you gonna tell this man that you're a cop? And he's like, I could tell a mile away. And what was that little?
Oh, it was so awkward.
And then Harris's face said,
"I'm so annoyed by that. Now I gotta run." Yep.
Because I feel like it should have been like and then an immediate run, but he went.
I think they were trying to set up that the cops in this town are dirty, so like him recognizing Harris as a cop wouldn't be like a deterrent, I guess. I think that was kind of the point, but yeah, it was like sort of clumsily done, but
yeah.
I now feel like the small podunk town exists in Montana, and this is where Clyde thrives.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. This is where you would expect to find someone like him. Yeah.
Like, can you imagine him just like sitting there? Oh gosh, I feel like every time I give a visual, I can just sense Dylan is going to do it. But can you imagine just like him sitting on a barrel of hay? And then like all these people start coming around him with like trucker hats and like overalls and like camouflage jackets and flannel, just being like.
Look, James Reed actually has a very, very long resume. He was, I remember him being on a show, one of my favorite shows called Wildfire, which was set in like barns and and around horses and things like that. So this scenario that you're painting is actually very plausible that there's video of this somewhere.
I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. I feel like Clyde can come out of nowhere and be like, "You're on my turf now."
Mm-hmm.
That sounded like a yeah.
Hopefully, we're closing in on this.
I hope so. I would like to know what the codes mean in the book, and I just want Clyde to get caught so that we can move on from Clyde. I don't want James Reed to lose work, but I'm like, goodness gracious, like
he won't lose work. He's very in demand.
I'm just like, the search for Clyde is just find them already. Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
We had the cute little scene with Steve and Jada.
Oh, that was nice. Just a little lunch.
Yeah.
And like you can tell she misses having a father figure. And
Yeah.
I like that I like that Steve kind of offered her to just be that person that you need someone to talk about your dates and stuff like that. Like, let me know. Papa Steve is here.
And we know Steve can't mind his business when it comes to who his children date.
And I think when Jada was talking about Harris like being on medical leave and then needing more time, they both were like, huh.
Yeah. We
What
know
they
something
doing?
going on here, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the mention of Coleman eating the gluten bread.
Note to self, if you're gonna be a criminal, you can't be a picky criminal.
Yeah. I kind of felt like, though, thinking about it, like Jada would have picked up on that. Like she would have interpreted that herself as opposed to like giving that info to Steve and then having him interpret it.
She got a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
Papa was a Rolling Stone. I don't know, that popped into my head. Not that Steve is a Rolling Stone. All right. Well, that was it for that storyline, right?
Yeah.
And those were it for your top 3 storylines. And before we get into our tidbits, just want to shoot off some quick reminders to you guys. Number 1, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell notification. Also, check us out on your favorite podcast stations. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, show some love to our lovely former co-host and friend to the show, James Lott Jr., on his YouTube channel and podcast stations. And of course, keep telling us what you thought because we want to hear from you. So make sure you're commenting below. All right, let's move on to some of our tidbits. And we're going to start with the first one, which is, a mother, may I? I love that Maggie was like, let me get married first.
Yeah.
Before Xander and you get married. Let me do this first so that I can be clear-minded. So I can basically what she's saying is there's a plan.
Yeah, exactly.
I need you to just let me concentrate on that before y'all start rushing into your stuff. Let me handle some business first.
Yeah.
And
then I can enjoy myself.
And she said what she could without like drawing too much suspicion. I was kind of nervous with her going into that conversation, thinking that she might accidentally say something, but I fear not. Maggie is a pro, and she knows she wants all this drama behind them. She wants to, like you said, enjoy Xander and Sarah's wedding. She has been Maggie is their biggest cheerleader. Yeah. She has been waiting for this very patiently.
Yeah.
Also, the other mother, I'm assuming that's what Sarah's plotting is to bring Xander's mother. That's the secret, I'm guessing.
I had a feeling that would be it too.
Yeah.
I had a dream of bringing your mom, daddy.
I was a bit surprised though when Sarah said to Maggie, because when Maggie was saying like, I want to go first. She said like something like, "Oh, isn't yours going to be a small ceremony?" So I was thinking like, "Oh, is Sarah and Xander planning like another like big?" Because they haven't had a big wedding, right?
No,
their weddings were always because they've been married. This is their third time or twice.
This is their third time to the altar, second time being married.
Actually, okay, and that's right. Their other wedding was small too, in the Kyriakis living room or whatever. So that makes sense. Because when she said that, I was like, you guys are planning a big wedding, but then that makes sense if they never really had one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how they keep rocking and rolling with that. Moving on to our next tidbit. It's Stefan strikes out. He is really trying to get them to open up that case about Gabi.
I don't blame him.
Everyone's like, listen, the evidence doesn't allow for that. Not yet. So Gabi still remains in jail.
Yeah, he's really trying.
I mean, you can't blame him.
Yeah. At least he has like at least Rafe on his side there, and that it's not just him sort of screaming to the rooftops. So
yeah.
And also he can't even get a manager for the restaurant, which I like that scene with him and Teresa. Have they ever interacted before? I realized I was picking up on the actors' chemistry because they, of course, have been joined together in different incarnations. But I was like, have these two characters ever interacted? And I was like, do they even like know each other?
I even tried to reach back, like way back when Jen Lilly was in the role. When like I even trying to think, like, okay, what year did Tyler Christopher join the show? Would they have crossed paths? No, they wouldn't have crossed paths. The only time that these characters have really kind of crossed paths, I think would have been New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
this past year. And that's it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they still good.
I mean,
playing different people?
Do we like the idea of? That was light years ago.
I know, right?
He was Jake. She was Gwen.
Yep.
That's how she came on the show. Yeah.
His name was Jake. Her name was Gwen. Could we make it any more obvious? But do we think Teresa would be great working at the bistro?
It's a weird career shift that I didn't see.
Everybody has a career shift in Salem.
I know.
Who doesn't have a career shift from porn star to corporate exec? I mean,
no. I don't mind it actually. I'd be curious to see where they went with it.
She has the charm, I think, needed for the job. And she's clearly done managerial things before. You know, that's what she did when she was running Bella. So yeah, I think it would be a good fit. It's smaller than what she's used to, but yeah, I think she'd make a good fit there.
Yeah, I'm confused because I always thought the way that storyline was going was that her and Brady would run what you call it, basic black tick. Like that's where I thought that was going, and then it seems like she's resting comfortably not working because of Alex's money.
Alex got money.
But I feel like we got that little bit of a shift now where, you know, her eyes have been opened a little bit. So I wonder now if does that leave the door open for her to take a job like this? Maybe she circles back to Stefan and takes it. I don't know.
All right. Well, now we're going to move on to the intervention of Bobberette. Wow. What interesting scene. But that dream was hot, though.
It was, yeah.
Because I kept thinking, like, don't you hear that shower?
I know.
She kept being like, Bobby, where are you? And I'm like,
and when she came in and let herself in, I was like, why would she let herself? I was like, okay, dream. I mean, I kind of thought it was a dream just by the preview, but I was like, okay, when she let herself in, I was like, okay, it's definitely a dream.
Well, you know, I knew it definitely was a dream when she walked into the bathroom and then he was like, come on in. And she was just like, I'm like, oh, so we just gonna stand in the shower fully clothed with him with a towel wrapped around him? But kudos to Blake Bears.
Yeah.
Yes. Kudos to Blake Bears on everything this week. His look, his attitude, his vibe, everything was just on point. And it wasn't over the top. It wasn't cartoonish.
Yeah.
I also, good.
It gave me, you guys remember Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg in Fear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he was at the peephole, and he was like, "So let me."
Yes.
Like that's what Bobby felt like.
Yeah.
That's Bobby.
I love that movie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Now I feel like they're. Oh my god.
Underrated. So underrated.
You're gonna put your head on Mark Wahlberg's body from the movie and play that scene.
Let the man rest.
Oh gosh.
But I like that we're getting more of Bobby, and with that dream sequence, I'm also getting the attraction with them. Like I'm seeing the Jada Bobby combination and being like, okay, I get it a little more.
But I also don't understand who's the real one, because now Bobby is saying I'm protecting Everett from stuff. And I'm like, okay, so who's real?
Who's the host personality?
Yeah. I thought it was Bobby because remember we said last week
Yeah.
he got the birth certificate and everything like that. But I'm like, is it though?
I'm wondering if I don't know enough about DID to like say does it change. I think Bobby is the I don't know if I say host, but I'll say I think Bobby is the first identity. I feel like they've given us enough information to say he's the one who grew up. He grew up as Bobby, but who's to say like the Everett part of it hasn't taken over completely? Like I don't know if there's a terminology for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do Ultras switch and the Ultra takes possession?
Well,
or control?
the argument that we have, just according to and this is not any psychiatric knowledge, this is pure what has happened on every soap opera that I've seen, is that there's supposed to be one host personality, which is the person was born, and then out of whatever catastrophic psychological trauma that occurred, out comes 1, 2, however many alternate personalities whose job it is to protect the host from knowing or re-experiencing their trauma. So Tony is wondering what I'm wondering, which is that if Bobby is his legal name, then how is Everett the host personality?
Yeah. It's also unclear when this started. Did it start in childhood? Like maybe Everett has always been around, or has Everett been around since age 13, or was it age 16? Was it age 25? Did it just start during the Stephanie years? You know what I mean? Like who's to we don't have enough information there, but I think we know that Everett isn't aware of Bobby, so it leads more credence to the fact that Bobby is technically the host because he's aware of Everett, but not vice versa. So I don't know. It also could just have been a writing thing, too. Maybe the writers confused it. I don't know, because everything tells us that Bobby is the host. He's the legal. He was the one. He was born Bobby Stein. And the records go back that far. The records don't go back that far for Everett. So we don't know when the Everett personality became dominant, or
I feel like that whatever accident he was in, the car thing has something to do with it.
Oh.
And I'm starting to feel like there is a reason, because remember we said this before, like there's a reason why he got hit by a car. Either somebody was like, something. And so, but again, it's like, but now I can see both sides.
Yeah.
I guess if it was Bobby and he created Everett as a way to forget things, and he doesn't want Everett to know because Everett is his escape.
Yeah.
But then it's like, why switch back to Bobby?
Yeah. Or like maybe like it's sort of like Everett is the well-adjusted one, so it's like maybe that's the one that like you kind of want to be dominant, or he wants to like live primarily as Everett. I don't know. It's confusing when it's essentially still one person, just different personalities. So
yeah. Very interessante.
Yeah, I did really appreciate the scene that Stephanie shared with Chad, where he was really honest with her and saying that, you know, this is going to be a rough ride. You know, he by that point had already been committed to Abby for years. They were married, they had children together. There was no way that he was going to be, you know, out of the situation. But he explained to her, it's like, you know, you have a choice at this point. You're not married. You're not really even dating right now. You can, it's not, you, he understood that she wanted to be honorable, as she put it. But to let her know, you know, this is not something that you do because you pity someone or because you think that, you know, you'll be the bad guy if you don't stick around for them.
Yeah.
If you're in, you're all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was as honest as he could be. And I don't know. I don't think she knows what she's really in for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that I think that she got through at least the first part of that intervention because Jada was by her side.
Yeah.
But I like that they attempted, but like they didn't show any fear, because when Bobby was like, get out, like it cut to Jada and Jada was just like, because I know for me, if someone did that, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
I know. I was sort of worried. I was like, how violent is this gonna get? How are they?
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. And then we got the reveal, the Marlena reveal behind the door.
Okay, can I tell you what I thought Marlena looked like?
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys ever seen She-Ra?
Yes.
Do you? Okay, look at. Oh my gosh, I feel like someone's gonna do this.
Like the stance.
Look at the stance that Marlena had, and then look at the stance that Adore or She-Ra would have.
Oh my god!
It was pretty much the same.
I did crack up when that door opened and she was just like standing there. The first thing, it was funny because I was thoroughly confused when she was talking to Stephanie and she was like, I'm not going to be there. And I was like, wait, hold up. Wait. If I was Stephanie, I would have been like, oh, okay, then we're not doing this then. I'm not I'm not confronting someone who has DID without a trained person there. So I was happy to see her at the end, but I was thoroughly confused about why she would send in two women into a situation like that without a professional. And I was like, don't interventions always have a professional? Isn't that kind of the point to, yeah.
I mean, yeah, like she should have been there with them.
I was like, Marlena, what you got to do? She was like, call me if you need me. I'll be nearby. I'm like, girl, like, you got dinner plans with John? Like, you can't come?
Marlena said, honey, y'all can go do this. Call me if you need me, okay? Call me if you need me. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
No, but it ended up being the smart decision so that it didn't start out as full-on confrontational with the doctor there saying you need help. It was two women who loved him saying, we care for you, we're worried about you. This is what a professional is telling us, and we can see that you're struggling and we want to help you.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Like, I mean, I guess he agreed to it. I'm not even sure who agreed.
I know.
In that moment, who was the one saying okay? But okay, I'll take okay.
Right, exactly.
Because
because it was weird because it was like Bobby sort of releasing Everett, and then either was it Everett saying okay, or was I at that point I was confused. It was just he was just on the floor, and I was like, someone said yes. One of the two personalities.
One of the two said yes, and you know what? We'll take it. We will take it. We will take whoever said yes.
Right.
All right. Well, we will see what's to come of this. And this is also just such a different take of the DID.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
fully aware, just kind of going in and out. Like,
I'm glad he didn't like put on a blonde wig to like be a different. He didn't like change glasses or like wear a hat. So like,
Yes. No Clark Kent stuff going on here.
No, it seems like he's able to control it.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was your week of days, and it's now time for our favorite part of the show, which are our segments. And we're going to start with mine, which is Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Oh, snap!
All right. So listen, there are some very clear statements that one can make when you know you are about to be read for filth. If someone ever says, let me tell you something. Let's be clear. In case you didn't know, you're about to get read. And that's why this person gets Tony's official 3 Snaps Award. Check it out.
Let's be clear about something, Mr. DeMira. I am not your brother, nor am I some toady from DeMira Enterprises. I am the district attorney of Salem, and I will not be pushed around no matter what your last name is. I wasn't trying to push.
So Tina Hung, Melinda Trask, you get Tony's official. That was so great. You get Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Oh, snap! Oh, snap!
And that was, well, we don't have captioned that because, Michael Mattis ain't here, y'all. Y'all done been here over an hour. Michael Mattis is busy this weekend. We pre-taping. It's a lot happening. Y'all know where to find them. So we don't have a caption that, but we do have a Those Were the Days.
All right, taking everyone back to May 30th, 2002. 2002, where Kim. Can you guys hear me? Okay, I think I'm frozen, or my screen is frozen. Anyway, keep going. Where Kim came back and visited Salem for Zach's christening. This is also the christening. But by the way, Patsy Pease looks great. I love this like look of hers. I feel like every time Kim comes back to the show, she looks different than she looks like not different person, but she has like a different look every time she comes back. But this is also the christening where it was revealed that Bo is Zach's father. Which of course we all know was a retcon. Because do you guys remember the contest they had to pick between Stefano and John?
Yeah.
Who's the baby daddy contest they had?
No, did they have that?
Because remember, Bo wasn't Zach's original father. That was a retcon. It was either Stefano or John was going to be the father.
Oh.
And then people were like, these are our options, really?
Yeah, and people had an issue with that, so they later retconned it, which, again, they retconned Sierra's, too. Bo wasn't her father either, but anyway. But yeah, taking everyone back to May 30th, 2002, we can visit it for Zach's christening. Oh my God, that just popped in my head when I was saying that. I was like, yeah, they did have a who's the baby who's the daddy contest. Yeah.
Wait, did they do a promo where there was like, who's the daddy?
Yep, that was it.
I remember that now. Yep. All right. Well, guess what that was? Those were the days. And now it's time for It's a Gift.
And this week's It's a Gift goes to one of my favorites, Lindsay Godfrey. She hasn't gotten this in a while, but she is making a face that I can only describe as me desperately hoping Constantine goes away soon. Same, girl, same.
And that was It's a Gift. And now it is time for
News and gossip.
Yes, we are starting with, it is going to be sort of awards week this week, starting off with the highly anticipated Dishin Days Awards, which are going to be Wednesday, June 5th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Please tune in live so you can see which one of your favorites is going to take home Best Guest Star and Best Duo Trio, Most Skippable Moment, the most shocking moment. Yes, and tune in to see any surprises that we may have during the show. But
We love a surprise.
Dishin Days Awards live again Wednesday, June 5th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And continuing with awards week, just 2 days later on Friday, June 7th, same time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the 51st Daytime Emmys, which will air on CBS. And we all know Days is nominated for 11. So fingers crossed they will take home
something.
Yes. And many, hopefully. Yeah. I think we have some good shots this year. So, yeah. Stay tuned.
Yes. It's going to be a very busy week for us. Next up, this was a twist of casting news that we didn't see coming. And just when you think you've seen it all, think again. Days' own Chriselle Staus has joined the cast of the Australian soap Neighbours. She begins filming in July as Yasmin Yaz Shields, a character that was created exclusively for her. And this is a bit of a return to not only her soap past on Days, but if you will recall, she actually got her start on All My Children. So this is just delicious news. I hope she has fun. And I believe this probably came about because isn't her partner Australian?
Yeah, Australian. So she
well?
spends a lot of time there. Yeah.
Yeah. So she spends a lot of time there. So that'll be that fun summer. So to all of our Australian fans, if you spot her, let us know and give us the heads up on what you think is going to be happening with the character. And I believe that the Neighbours airs in the US as well on, is it Freevee or is it
Amazon Freevee? Yep.
Amazon Freevee. Okay, so our US viewers, you can get her here as well. So she airs in July. Somebody who lives in Australia, tell me how far ahead they film.
Right.
sometime in our summer, your winter. As I've also been told, it's wintertime over there. So
yeah, that's big casting news.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Next up, we have some definitive answers for people who have been debating the last few months on when the writers are coming, when our regular writers, our union writers led by Ron Colavarti and his team are coming back versus when the non-union writers who have been writing since the strike happened, when one story ends and when their stories come back, whose stories were which. We finally got some answers when Ron did an interview where he sort of let us in on some behind the scenes sort of dealings. The goal was, well, first off, Friday's episode, May 31st, was the official sort of first day back for Ron and his team. So if you'll notice, he did a little sort of nod wink wink with the Leo character when he was sitting at his laptop and complaining about the writing for the Salem Spectator. That was sort of a nod wink wink, a little bit of shade thrown there, but yeah, that's okay. We expect nothing less from Ron. He did let us know that originally the plan was because we didn't know how long the strike was going to last. So the original plan was for the non-union writers to sort of stall basically and elongate what was already planned. Unfortunately, the strike did go longer than anyone anticipated. And so they started sort of having to write storyline and break down stories and everything like that. And he did want to let us know, the viewers, that Jude's initial paternity reveal, Lee Shin's murder and finding his killer, and also Gabi getting out of prison, those were not his storylines. He did say the Gabi one was something that they had in the pipeline that was going to come up, but the other two were not his. And I think we actually got the Sloan Nicole confrontation that we saw on Friday. That was them coming back and adding that because it wasn't originally there. So yeah, this is sort of the writers moving forward. The next 3 months, I think, will be interesting. We'll see sort of maybe some things fall by the wayside. We'll see our usual writing team sort of pick up some things and kind of move forward with it. But yeah, that's sort of the skinny on the writing moving forward. But yeah, moving forward, we have our Ron and his team back in full force. So yeah, we'll kind of see. You might see some abrupt changes, we'll say, in the next couple of weeks with some storylines. So yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, we finally got some answers on that front. So hopefully this puts some of the discourse, but it calms it down a little bit. But yeah.
Okay, so then color me surprised, because I had originally thought that he had kind of laid out a roadmap, and now he has disputed that, saying that was not the case. So, I guess good on the temp writers for keeping the ship going, because 6 months is a long time.
They had a hard job trying, especially if they thought it was going to be like a couple weeks or a month, and they're like, we can stall and like not change much and just keep sort of writing and kind of keep everyone not in place, but not change things too much. So
yes, but 6 months is a long time. There's only so much you can stall.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. And because this is our show and we support our cast and our people at Days, we have some reminders for you of upcoming outside events. So first up, we have the Hot Men Day of Days in Nashville. So this is going to be the big event the weekend of September 28th, 29th. Tickets are currently available at eventbrite.com, and you can get details at starimageentertainment.com. You'll see that weekend will be with Eric Martzoff, Paul Telfer, Carson Boatman, Brandon Beamer, and Robert Scott Wilson. Get your tickets now. Next up, the Day Players have new dates coming up in Virginia, North Carolina, New York. They're going to be in pretty busy during the summer up until the end of the year. You can get tickets and information at thedayplayersband.com. Also coming up, we have the Golden Age of Hollywood event thrown by Samantha and Friends. That'll be the weekend of September 14th and 15th. You can go to samanthafriends.org for tickets and information. And if you haven't been aware of this and followed us on our socials, last week we had Teo Penglis on the show to talk about his book, which is called Seducing Celebrities, 1 Mil at a Time. Tony, Justin, and Michael were there at his event for his book signing at the Grove and Barnes & Noble. So we are having our book giveaway. Please go to our social media for details. And I believe, Tony, the drawing is this Monday?
It's going to be on Monday.
It's this Monday. Okay, Seducing Celebrities, 1 Mil at a Time by Teo Penglis. And if you haven't, go check out our interview with him so you can see just how fabulous this man is. I could listen to him talk forever. So if you feel like doing that and learning some new recipes, go and to our social medias for the book giveaway.
All right. And, oh my goodness, that was...
news and gossip.
And now it's time to find out what is coming up this week on Peacock's Days of Our Lives. Here we go.
I want you ready. I'm just not that into you.
You will be punished.
Even if it's at your sister's expense?
The trap is set.
We have that snake right where we want him.
You let me fall in love with a child that doesn't even belong to me?
That's not the whole story.
You showed up at my house intending to kill my wife. I didn't kill her. Abigail is alive.
OMG.
Yeah.
Okay, the reason I have these fingers up because I was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential bombs being dropped next week. Ooh.
Surprises, definitely.
And I think we won't be here.
You won't, because it's Emmy's week.
Yeah.
Guys, literally any other week we might make an exception, but holy moly, it's just gonna be a lot. We'll interact. We'll find it. We'll let y'all know in some way. how we feel. There's no way we can be quiet.
Well, we shall see what's going to happen this week. But in the meantime, you guys make sure that you keep Days of Our Lives in your thoughts and your prayers as they head into Emmys week this week. And we're hoping that they walk away with a few trophies that they are nominated for. But that's our show, everybody. And before we head out, Justin Lee Hareld, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
Araceli.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. And yes, I'm still calling it Twitter. I don't care what the new algorithm or the new URL handle says. Twitter at Tia323 Araceli.
And y'all make sure you go give Michael Mattis some love at ML Mattis on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony. And of course, if you want to follow all of our stunt shows and shenanigans, make sure you go to Dishin Days Show on Facebook and Dishin Days on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another lovely Dishin Days. We will be back next week. Maybe not. We'll see, because it's Emmys week. We busy. But until then, make sure you head to our Instagram right now and Twitter and put in your last minute entries, because we will be giving away the Teo Pinglis book. Not one copy, but two, because Teo himself will also sign a hardcover copy for a winner. So make sure you do that. Have a great week, everyone. Stay healthy, stay safe, and enjoy this week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. Happy Emmy week, everybody. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
See y'all Wednesday for our awards.
That's
Yes.
right. Tune in. Bye, everyone.
Bye.